Welcome back to Oz Pacific Group. Today, we're diving into part 2 of our series on Australian student visa conditions. If you're ready to learn more about the key requirements for international students, let's jump right in. 1. Visa Condition 8501. Maintain adequate health insurance. You must have and maintain adequate health insurance for the whole of your stay in Australia. For a student visa, you must have Overseas Student Health Cover, OSHC, for the full duration of your stay in Australia. OSHC helps international students to cover the costs of medical and hospital care while in Australia. It also includes ambulance services and limited pharmaceutical coverage. 2. Visa Condition 8516. Must maintain eligibility. You must ensure that you consistently meet the criteria for your visa grant throughout your stay in Australia. This means that any changes in your circumstances, such as your enrollment status or educational program, must continue to align with the original terms under which your visa was issued. If you switch courses, for example, it should be within the same education level as initially approved. Failure to maintain these requirements can affect your visa status, so it's essential to stay compliant with all conditions. 3. Visa Condition 8517. Maintain adequate arrangements for the education of your school-age dependents. If you have school-age dependents staying in Australia for more than 3 months under your visa, it's mandatory to ensure they have suitable educational arrangements in place. This condition typically means enrolling them in school, and it may also require you to cover their education fees as international students. Keeping up with this requirement is important to remain compliant with your visa conditions and to support your dependents' educational needs while in Australia. 4. Visa Condition 8518. Maintain adequate arrangements for your education. As an international student, you are required to maintain adequate arrangements for your own education while studying in Australia. This involves remaining enrolled in a registered course and meeting attendance and academic progress requirements set by your institution. Regularly attending classes, submitting assignments, and staying on track academically are all part of maintaining these arrangements. Falling behind or failing to meet academic standards could jeopardize your visa, so be sure to stay engaged and committed to your studies. 5. Visa Condition 8532. Maintain welfare arrangements for minors. If you're under 18, this condition ensures that you have safe and proper accommodation, support, and overall welfare during your stay in Australia. To comply, you must either live with a parent, legal custodian, or a nominated relative over 21 who is of good character, or have welfare arrangements in place, such as approved accommodation and support, which have been authorized by your education provider. Your education provider is responsible for overseeing these arrangements if they have been approved, and any changes to your living situation must also be approved to ensure your ongoing safety and compliance with the visa requirements. 6. Visa Condition 8533. Inform provider of address. You must let your education provider know your residential address within 7 days of arriving in Australia if you were outside Australia when your visa was granted. If your residential address changes, you must let your education provider know within 7 days after the change. Notify your current education provider that you have changed your education provider within 7 days of receiving a confirmation of enrollment from your new education provider, or evidence you have been enrolled by the new education provider. 7. Visa Condition 8534. No further stay. Under this condition, you are restricted from applying for most other visas while you're in Australia. This means that after your current visa expires, you won't be able to extend your stay by applying for a new visa, except in specific cases. The only exceptions to this rule are a Subclass 485, temporary graduate visa, which allows you to stay temporarily to gain work experience, a Subclass 590, student guardian visa, or a protection visa, which is available in cases where protection is needed. This condition is strictly enforced, so it's essential to plan accordingly if you intend to stay longer in Australia. 8. Visa Condition 8535, no further stay. With this condition, you are restricted from applying for most other visas while you're in Australia. The only exceptions are a new student, temporary, Class TU, visa if you have continued support from the Commonwealth or a foreign government, or a protection visa if you need protection while in Australia. This condition is common for students on scholarships or those supported by the government, ensuring they complete their studies and then return home. Be mindful of this restriction if you're considering extending your stay, as options are very limited. By following these guidelines, you'll be able to focus on your studies and make the most of your time in Australia, paving the way for a smooth and rewarding journey toward your academic and career goals. Thank you for watching. We hope this information has been helpful. For more details, be sure to check the links in the description. And if you haven't already, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you don't miss any updates from Oz Pacific Group. See you in the next video. Safe travels and happy studying.